From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Tyler Paley. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we're taking you all around Arizona to show you the beauty and the things that make our state unique, from Route 66 to rose farming.
In just 2 years, towns along Route 66 could lose out on some valuable funding meant to help revive aging areas along the historic road. While that's still a little ways away, there's still concern about the upcoming date. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Finger joins us in the newsroom with what kind of changes are happening over there. Tyler?
Before there were interstates, U.S. highways crisscrossed the United States, linking small town after small town. Route 66 was built more than 90 years ago, but it's still an important symbol of America today, a symbol that some worry is now in danger. Not far from Interstate 40 west of Flagstaff sits a reminder of what was.
Route 66 is about yesterday. And not just in Seligman, from Chicago to Santa Monica.
90-year-old Angel Delgadillo has spent the majority of his life on Route 66. Today, he still rides his bike across it.
Route 66 will be here forever. Judging from the people that are stopping just here in Seligman, from all parts of the world.
Back in its heyday, thousands of cars would drive down this very stretch of road every single day. But once Route 66 was bypassed by an interstate just a few hundred yards away, those cars stopped coming through towns like Seligman. Fast forward more than 30 years after Route 66 was decommissioned, a program created to preserve the road and landmarks along it is set to expire in 2 years.
Route 66 is where America has come from. And if we can remember that, we can always have a vision and a focus on where we are going.
If the program ends, there's hope that the road will get a new designation as a National Historic Trail.
It's America of yesterday, and this is where you're going to see what America is all about. So if you really want to get your kicks, get on Route 66.
For Angel and Myrna, no matter what happens, they know Route 66 will be here long after they're gone.
Route 66 today is live and well, and people always told us, oh, it's just a fad. This road is not a fad. This road is a part of who we are.
If Route 66 would get the National Historic Trail designation, money would be set aside every year to continue to preserve the road and its lasting legacy. Tyler Finger, Cronkite News.
40% of our state's water reserve is stored in Lake Mead, but the Colorado River, which feeds it, has been in drought for over a decade. The fiscal year 2018 executive budget summary discusses a plan that will help conserve water. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein traveled to Lake Mead to see what impact the proposal could have.
A new report by the Western Water Advocates shows Lake Mead is being drained faster than it can be refilled. If it drops below certain levels, water access will be reduced. Farmers would be the first to feel the effects of the shortage, and those who depend on agriculture are already trying to prevent that.
The Colorado River runs alongside Parker, Arizona. Many depend on the river for tourism and business, and the Colorado River Indian tribes rely on it for their primary economic activity, agriculture.
It started off with our canals being built years ago into watering our farms.
But there's less water in the river due to an extended drought lasting for close to 17 years.
If you went up to Lake Mead, you could see that line that shows where it used to be and where it's now.
Today, the water level stands at 1081 feet.
If water elevation drops below 1075, 1050, or 1025 feet, the water delivery to Arizona and Nevada is reduced at each step. That means for those involved in water conservation efforts, it's all hands on deck.
Bureau of Reclamation spokesperson Rose Davis says there's a chance of shortage in the next couple years.
Our current predictions based on our August 24-month study, which kind of sets out the water deliveries for the following year, says that in 2019 we've got about a 33% chance of shortage in the lower basin.
The Colorado River Indian tribes have the oldest water rights on the river, and they would be one of the last to lose access. But the tribe proactively joined a pilot program to reduce their water use.
We fallow some of our lands. Instead of farming on those lands, that water that would have gone there would go back into Lake Mead.
The river is a big part of the Colorado River Indian tribes' culture, and Moses said they've been educating tribal members about what's happening.
It's a little disturbing to people when you find out, when they say, oh, you're not going to farm there, because we've been farming for so long, you know, and then we say, oh, we're not going to farm there. Why not?
According to the 2018 Executive Budget Summary, Arizona has been in negotiations with California, Nevada, and the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to prepare a plan that will conserve water in Lake Mead. But there is a cost, and Arizona's share would be $2 million per year for 3 years. In the Broadcast Center, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
Many people in the Navajo Nation don't have access to running water in their homes. I traveled to the border of Utah and Arizona to learn about the practice of hauling water.
Water is life. It's a saying heard throughout Navajo country, but access to clean running water is a daily challenge for many Navajo residents.
We have to haul in water, just, to live off of it.
Mark Holliday, who lives in Monument Valley, does not have running water in his home and must haul water from the local well. People fill up whatever they have and travel back to their homes with their giant barrels, coolers, and plastic jugs, a practice that is time-consuming and costly.
You have to stand in line. During the summertime, there's a lot of people that are in line. You have to stand in line for an hour to 2 hours.
Some residents travel miles on dirt roads up to 3 to 4 times a week.
There are very mixed emotions among the Navajo people in this area. While many would like to see more access to clean running water, others are resistant to change.
We're used to it. I mean, we've always done this since we're small, and it's not a big deal.
Still, the demand for running water is high, and the Navajo government struggles providing infrastructure to homes in rural areas. Jason John, Navajo Water Resources branch manager, says they need $600 to $700 million in order to bring running water to anyone who wants it.
The challenge there is the United States or the Indian Health Service only gets about $10 million a year to tackle that $600 million of listing.
The Navajo Indian Health Service has started a list of projects that need attention, but they still need money. For now, residents continue to haul water. Holiday hopes more people appreciate the sacredness of water that many Navajo residents understand all too well.
Nonprofit groups like Dig Deep and the Black Mesa Coalition also work to help get the Navajo Nation running water.
A proposed water tank is causing quite the stir in Sedona. I spent the day in the neighborhood to hear arguments for and against the new facility. Residents in one Sedona neighborhood want to shut down plans to build a water tank. They say it would negatively impact their views. The Arizona Water Company already bought the land and say the tank is needed to keep water flowing to residents.
We don't want to wait until people are running out of water or it's a crisis situation before we start planning a new facility.
Some residents are upset over the location. The proposed tank would sit 2 feet above ground, along with an operations facility just beyond Kevin Bracken's backyard.
As we dug into it even more, it even became apparent that maybe they really didn't do their homework ahead of time.
Right here in this lot is where the 9-foot tank is planned to be built, but you won't see much of it. Most of it will be built underground. The only other source of water is located across town in uptown Sedona. The proposed million-gallon tank would more than double the water supply, a much-needed boost, according to Rick Evans of Sedona Fire.
With some of the larger homes here, they can be in excess of 10 or 20,000 square feet. They could easily use well over what we can currently deliver.
Arizona Water Company has considered other locations since 2012, including within the Coconino National Forest. The water company says the tank has to go somewhere.
Educate them a little more on what it takes to run a reliable water system. We're hoping.
We agree we need a water tank. We just say, my gosh, why would you do it here?
For now, the water tank project is paused. The Arizona Water Company won't move forward until the next public meeting, not yet scheduled. But Bracken may take legal action if the tank is built.
We would definitely consider it, without a doubt.
Arizona is known for cotton and citrus, but these aren't the only abundant crops growing in the state. Last year, Arizona exported 18 million rose bushes and continues to be a leader in the industry. Reporter Kanakja tells us more about the national flower growing in our state.
When you think roses, you probably think California. Desert dwellers might be surprised to learn rose growing in the state goes back to the 1950s. I took a trip out to Litchfield Park to learn more about the current industry.
Blistering summer heat is headed our way, but that doesn't stop the roses in Arizona from blooming. Noelle Johnson is dedicated to finding the perfect desert rose.
So the roses I have in my garden are put here to see how do they do, and then the growers ask me for my feedback. So one of the most exciting things for me is getting free roses in the mail, and I put them in my garden and see what happens.
Growers around the world ask Johnson to test rose variations for durability in the desert heat. We might not think roses will last here, but Tyler Francis says the climate is perfect.
We grow over 1,000 different varieties of rose bushes on this farm, and of that we have 50 different reds. So there's a lot of different variations, and the best thing to do is the one that draws you in is the one that you should buy.
Francis Roses is one of 4 commercial rose growers in the state. In December, Francis will ship out about 5 million bushes.
The roses that Arizona ships out accounts for about 3/4 of the U.S. rosebush market, but these aren't the flowers that you would see in your Valentine's Day bouquet.
Stem-cut roses are imported from overseas and might last you 2 weeks, but in Arizona, planting a rose bush that blooms almost year-round is easy.
Roses get a bad rap for being finicky, but they're not. They're very, very hardy plants. If you give them just a little bit of love and attention and you water them, you don't need to be a pro.
Francis says the rosebush industry is worth about $500 million and is a significant part of the state's agriculture.
I would really like to see the 5Cs in R, because we are the cornerstone of the entire rose industry here in Arizona, and I think it's something that all Arizonans should be proud of.
As for Johnson, she says we can show our pride by getting out our gardening gear.
Grow roses, life is short.
So far this year, Arizona has exported 6 million rose bushes. Rose growers say they've seen the growing process become more streamlined and expect more consolidation in the industry in the next few years. In the newsroom, Kanak Ja, Cronkite News.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Jalen Strong. Do you believe
Maricopa County Parks and Recreation is officially taking over the Hassayampa River Preserve in Wickenburg. On April 16th, the Nature Conservancy will sign the entire property. Reporter Janie Hoyt tells us how the county plans to bring in more visitors.
Maricopa County already owns several parks across Arizona. They have plans to make the Hassayampa River Preserve more well-known and convenient for people by adding a few renovations. I visited the preserve to find out what they have in the works. A hidden treasure is tucked just off U.S. Highway 6089 in Wickenburg, the Hassayampa River Preserve. The preserve includes several self-guided trails, a beautiful lake, and 280 species of birds. Maricopa County Parks and Recreation plans to make the area even more appealing when they fully take over the property next week.
Nature Conservancy had title to it, so they didn't have the budget or the money to really show what they had there. They protected it. So, but now we are folding over into actually utilizing it, showing people maybe sponsoring tours, doing things that will enhance the area.
Over the next 5 years, Maricopa County plans to expand the parking lot, upgrade the restrooms and picnic areas, and spruce up the visitor center. The center, which was once a stagecoach stop, has been there for more than 100 years. Leaders believe it's important to maintain the historic feel of the preserve.
You know, the historic buildings, we're not going to modify them a lot. We're going to stabilize them, continue to restore the buildings, but we're not going to add a lot of new modern features out here.
Maricopa County leaders want more people to discover the Hassayampa Preserve instead of just driving by it.
Looking forward to people actually seeing this resource, seeing and utilizing the resource, and I think it's going to be a jewel in the county system, the county park system, and I can't wait to continue to work on it.
Maricopa County already manages part of the preserve, but they will be managing the entire area as of next week. Supporters believe that the Hassayampa upgrades will draw more tourists, which will help the economic development in Wickenburg. Live in downtown Phoenix, Janie Hoyt, Cronkite News.
Revenue has been dropping for 3 years at 6 Phoenix-owned golf courses. Reporter Allison Gargaro visited the city's Maryvale course to see what the city is doing to chip away at the financial deficit.
People began teeing off at the Maryvale Golf Course in Phoenix back in the 1960s. The goal was to provide residents with more affordable rounds of golf than at resorts and private clubs. Many people first picked up a club in this West Phoenix neighborhood, including Councilman Daniel Valenzuela.
I would have never had an opportunity to learn to golf had it not been for a city course.
Phoenix owns 6 golf courses open to the public. 4 are in the red. Those losses reached thousands of dollars in 2015, according to the city.
The overall number of what's being subsidized today is about $133,000 for all 6 courses, and now some are making money, some are not making money.
But 2 other Phoenix courses brought in more than $400,000 in 2015. The city partnered with 2 colleges, Grand Canyon University and Arizona State University, to reverse some of the losses. ASU now operates the Papago course, and GCU invested $12 million into renovations of the Maryvale Golf Course and Clubhouse. Grand Canyon staffs the course with GCU students.
Well, we have about 40 students who work between the golf shop and the restaurant and actually the maintenance. So students are involved in all aspects of the golf course, along with what many of our golf management students are also involved and work in the day-to-day operations.
Work here at the golf course, and I love it. I basically live here.
The university investment is more than a financial turnaround. Renovations are driving more golfers to the courses.
You never know, the next Tiger Woods may come out of Maryvale because they had an opportunity to pay a few bucks and walk the course and learn.
In Phoenix, Allison Gargaro, Cronkite News.
When visiting the Phoenix Zoo, you may assume that the animals you see there belong there, but that isn't always the case. I checked out the zoo to see how they are dealing with these unwanted visitors. The Phoenix Zoo has been experiencing some unwelcome visitors to the park, and it is coming from the water. Non-native turtles have been invading the moat outside the zoo since 1999, and it is taking a toll on the inhabitants that are supposed to be in the lagoon. Arizona Game and Fish Turtles Project Coordinator Christina Jones says the non-native turtles are outcompeting the other species in resources.
But it affects our native aquatic species. So we've got fishes, and we have native turtles, which in this area should be the Sonora mud turtle. Those animals should be abundant throughout the system, but because of all of the non-native pond sliders and various other non-native turtle species, it simply outcompetes, so it takes away the space that the native turtles would need for nesting and also their resources.
Because of this competition, only 2 out of the 882 turtles caught since 1999 have been the native Sonoran mud turtle. After the non-native turtles are captured, the male turtles are marked and placed back into the water, and the female turtles are sent to the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group to prepare for adoption.
The turtle conservation effort happens once a year here at the Phoenix Zoo, always leading up to World Turtle Day on May 23rd.
The Phoenix Zoo and Arizona Game and Fish hold this event to try and prevent future turtle dumping, as well as educating the public on a proper way to rehome a pet you can no longer care for. This year alone, Arizona Game and Fish and the Phoenix Zoo caught 118 turtles. 93 were new and 25 had been captured previously. If you're interested in adopting a turtle, contact the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group.
You've probably noticed all of the construction in Central Phoenix, but you maybe haven't noticed the owls living on some construction sites. Cronkite News reporter Ivory Reiner shows us how Phoenix is home to hundreds of burrowing owls, once on their way to extinction.
These are burrowing owls. They make their homes under the desert dirt of Central Phoenix. The problem here, construction workers are tearing down their homes.
The nature of work at construction sites, using heavy equipment, scraping and scooping dirt to build something, is what will identify the presence of burrowing owls and actively displace them and sometimes kill them.
George Martinez started the Downtown Owl Project to build new homes for the owls.
These are the man-made owl burrows that the volunteers have made. At the end of the tubes, 5-gallon buckets. And I was told that it takes 3 hours to make 10 of these.
They will move between burrows, between these 4, between those down there. So we need to have multiple homes for them to replicate where they live in the wild.
The Downtown Owl Project has relocated more than 100 owls to safer grounds, and people like Bob Fox come to the rescue for any owls left behind on construction sites.
We have been training the environmental surveyors throughout the state to identify correctly burrowing owl sites, what to look for.
Burrowing owls are not at risk of extinction right now, but Martinez said they are a species of concern.
Take action now to make sure that this precious species does not decline any further.
Get everybody ahead of the game.
In Phoenix, Ivory Reiner, Cronkite News.
Every year, thousands of people take the unconventional trip up to this hidden Arizona bar. Alexa Arms takes us up to Parker, Arizona to show us what makes this place such an unusual oasis.
How far would you go for a beer? A 5-mile off-roading adventure up the unpaved Cienega Springs Road will take you to Arizona's most remote bar. A 3-decade-old, off-the-grid, handmade work in progress.
This is what I want to do because I can create anything.
What started out as a 5-stool operation grew into something much bigger thanks to the help of solar energy.
Solar, with me out here, it's a big thing. Each time you add something, you got to have the power to go with it.
The solar panels capture enough sunlight to power all lights, appliances, and even some air conditioning. These additions have allowed the bar more opportunity to appeal to a larger clientele.
Whether you're an athlete, a movie star, a rich person, a poor person, a person from Europe. Today we had people from Australia. Every type of people come here.
The Desert Bar has become a staple in the Parker community, and it's the hospitality and uniqueness that has drawn people in for over 30 years.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, It's just like, where else do you find a place like this?
And the greatest thing here is no electronics.
The lack of cell reception also allows for more meaningful conversations.
Anywhere else, everyone's on their cell phones, not here.
The Desert Bar has already begun plans for next season's editions. Aside from more solar panels, what's to come is a surprise. In Parker, Alexa Arms, Cronkite News.
The Desert Bar is open from October until the end of April. This is the last weekend to make a trip up there until next season.
Some schools have students build volcanoes for science class, but this event is allowing students to build solar-powered go-karts. Reporter Amanda Luberto tells us how living in the Valley of the Sun is helping students do more.
When the green flag waves, students start their cart with the help of the sun.
It's an opportunity to get out of the classroom, away from the textbook, and have a hands-on experience that's really fun.
All high schools in Arizona are invited to participate in the Racing the Sun event, but schools that have STEM-based programs seem to be the ones who sign up, Bruce Wright says. In its 5 years, more than 500 students have participated.
High school students work all school year to build solar-powered go-karts. When they get here to practice day, they still might or might not work.
Morgan Smith is a senior at Palo Verde High Magnet School in Tucson. He's the lead for this year's go-kart team and says the program through the University of Arizona Tech Park is helping him determine his career path.
They kind of introduced me to the engineering world, and for a career, even if I don't make the Navy a career choice, after that, I will still want to do engineering.
Because of the engineering and robotics program at his high school, Morgan plans to join the nuclear engineering program with the U.S. Navy. But for now, solar strips on go-karts is his idea of fun. In Tucson, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
This year, 12 different schools are participating, and the final race is on April 29th.
The Arizona Game and Fish Community Fishing Program can expect a jump in fish populations this month. After having leftover money for the year, they decided to use that money to buy more fish for the lakes and ponds throughout the state. I dove in to see what exactly that means for the community. 250,000 fish are being stocked into Arizona waters after Arizona Game and Fish found some spare dollars for urban lakes.
We had some money unexpectedly come to us. There was a couple of projects that fell through and the money had to be spent before the end of the fiscal year. So it came down from the top, said buy some fish. We said yes, we will.
This is being done in order to help support the community fishing program, which is completely self-sufficient.
This program was designed to be self-sustaining and pay for itself, hence the partnership fees and the separate license, the community fishing license, as opposed to the general fishing license. So we wanted to make sure it was a self-sustaining program and not a drain on anyone.
But stocking the lakes does take a lot of work. Arizona Game and Fish teams up with cities as well as Mr. Fish, the fish stocking company that drives the fish from Arkansas. Besides checking the water quality, it is important to also check on the fish.
I want to make sure that the fish are going in, and when they're jumping at the surface, they're popping and acclimating nicely. They look like happy fish.
Not long after the fish were stocked, people started to show up with fishing poles. One had some advice for fellow park goers.
It's a good thing when people don't abuse it. It's a good thing when people don't come. You know, if you bring your trash to the park, take it home with you.
Anglers will be able to catch trout, bass, and catfish throughout the month of June. As the fish are being restocked across the state, make sure to take note of the rules and guidelines shared by the Arizona Game and Fish Department, as well as the park where you plan to fish.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.